Howdy, this here's Maurice Monroe of the 26th Infantry, UNVC, retired. I hail from Neo-Europa from the year Never You Mind. Don't like pegging down specific dates, cause it'll muck with the timeline something awful. Just sitting here at the ass end of the universe, killing time, so I figured I'd hit my CB and give the Queen a rest. I'll introduce the next story. You see, I'm a bit of a gambler myself, so this one felt right up my alley. We call it Spoilers by Moncho Shelby.
Come on, dude, I haven't seen that show yet. You haven't seen Flags and Forefathers. It's the biggest show ever. It's what if Star Wars, the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, and all the Marvel shows had a baby. Nope. I'm just gonna wait until it finishes. Wait until it finishes? This show might be on for 10 more years. You mean to tell me you'd wait 10 years before you'd watch it, and you think that nobody would spoil it for you in that time? I could do it, I will do it, and I have done it before. That's bullshit. Someone would spoil that shit for you with the memes alone. So unless you plan to boycott the internet entirely, this is impossible. You wanna bet? Oh, 'cause we're in Vegas, you grow man nuts, huh? I've had the balls. Have you? Seeing that I can't actually police you and there's no way to do this except for the honor system, I don't see how I can make this supposed deal. So you don't trust me? I didn't say I didn't trust you. Well, it sure sounds like you're saying that. Okay, let's say I do trust you. What exactly would this bet be? If you know anything, a storyline about the characters? I watched the trailers, so I know the characters, at least what they look like. So it couldn't be that. Let's say if I learn the names of the new characters, storyline, who's alive, who's dead, then you win. Any new information past the general info of the trailer, and you win. You sure you want to do this? This is impossible, and technically speaking, I want you to watch the fucking show so I don't have to tiptoe around it with you. Well, let's make that part of the bet then. If I fail, I have to watch all the shows and catch up. And if I succeed, you gotta give me $50. $50, huh? Who's to say if the dollar will even hold its value by the time the show's over? I'll risk it. It was at that moment my life changed. I heard the voice that would haunt me forever. He sounded like he was from the South, a Southern gentleman, but I didn't know how deep South he was until later. His voice cut through the distracting chatter of the Mirage Hotel. "I love to get in on that action," said the Southern gentleman. Me and my buddy Pete were taken aback. Not only had we not fathomed anyone in the world would think what we were talking about was the least bit interesting. We never saw where he came from. He just seemed to be there as a fixture in the landscape. "Excuse me?" I said. I'd like to get in on some of that action," the cowboy repeated. I remember everything about that moment, like a snapshot in my mind. The image of Pete, myself, and the stranger leaning up against the bar in the Vegas hotel. I remember that look when we asked his name with crystal clarity, the way he gazed up to the sky, as if to pluck the name from the ether. It was all rather subtle, but when recalling the big moments of your life, there is no such thing. He called himself Joe, but to this day, I have no clue if it was his real name. In fact, if it was, I'd be supremely shocked. So Joe, it's an interesting idea, but I doubt very highly that I'd ever be back to Vegas to collect. I doubt you'd ever know how it turned out. Ain't that the sort of thing Facebook is for? Said Joe. I nodded. and didn't think anything of it, so I gave him my Facebook information. If he followed me, so what? It's Facebook. And if I failed, so what? If I even remember, I'd give him a heads up with a little smirking emoji. The worst thing that could happen is I'd have to block him, or he'd post too many political memes, which I can't fucking stand. I took the hook, and little did I know he was playing the long game, and I was auditioning for the part of his next player. 2 years passed, and I made Pete pay up. I ducked spoilers like Neo in the Matrix. I never opened up emails I didn't know, and I especially had to screen Pete's surprise text messages with spoiler memes once he heard the final season was upon us. I wouldn't say it was easy to willfully ignore the cultural pulse, but I did it. Pete coughed up his $50, even though he hardly believed I was telling the truth. I knew the truth, and I went 2 years on full blackout. I missed so many events and was clueless if I saw cosplayers. I learned never to ask what I was looking at so that I could never accidentally figure it out. 3 days after the finale of Flags and Forefathers, I got a text message from Joe, the Southern gentleman. At this point in time, I had all but forgotten about him. He did post on Facebook once in a blue moon, which was the only reason I remembered him at all. It was only memes when he did, usually about pop culture, but I never looked into him any further. He posted on Messenger, "So, who won the bet?" I texted him back, surprised that a random stranger remembered a 5-minute conversation from 2 years ago. Me, of course. "I had money riding on you." Whoa, who would have even known other than us three? "I told my friends about your bet, and they took quite an interest. Don't know if you realized it by now. I'm kind of a gambler." "I see that." "If you ever make it back to Vegas, give me a ring. I got $100 to give to you, 'cause you made me so much." "How much did you make off me?" "Oh, you wouldn't believe." And that was all I got from Joe for another 2 months. Incidentally, I did have a reason to return to Vegas. I told my wife I was going for the Consumer Electronics Expo, which was a half-truth because the Adult Video Awards took place the same weekend. I figured I slipped by both things. I went down by myself because none of my friends could get off of work. Since I'm really not the cheat on my wife sort of guy, I got a little bored sitting at my hotel. I went to the Mirage to drop a few coins in the machine. Lo and behold, I see Joe at the same bar 2 years later as if he never left. I hoped he worked there, or else it seemed a little sad to me. I walked over and said, "Hi." He seemed nice enough. "Joe, hey, it's..." "Yeah, I remember you from the TV show Bet, right?" "Yeah." Joe dug into his pocket and slammed a $100 bill down. "Thanks a million. You don't need to give me anything." "I know I don't, but I did. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it." I wish everyone lived by that code. You and me both, brother. You and me both. We spoke a few minutes about Flags and Forefathers, seeing that I binged the show after it was done, and unlike the rest of the world, I had no one to talk to about it. 20 minutes later, and 5 drinks in, the conversation took a turn. "So, would you ever want to take another bet like that?" "With you?" "Yeah, why not?" "You're in Vegas. You don't know me. How'd you even believe me if I cheated?" "Don't worry about me. I have my ways." "What would you suggest?"